Hello, class. My name is Matthew Takamura, and for my final project, I decided to interview my older cousin, Brandon Taro Voorhees. Now, I believe that being where we live, Southern California, and more specifically Orange County, I thought that my cousin was the perfect person to do for this interview. Being that he is of two different ethnicities, his mom is Japanese and his dad is Polish, I believed that his insight was fitting for the environment that we live in today. So, my cousin is not the traditional Japanese American. He does not speak Japanese. He has never been to Japan. But that doesn't mean that his insight isn't useful and helpful. When I interviewed him, I asked him about very basic things regarding his upbringing, his school experiences, and his current work situations. And the things that stood out to me the most, the two, were probably his career and what he's doing for work right now, as well as his uh, just overall life experience, being that he is half Japanese and not full Japanese. My cousin Brandon was born to his mother Elsa Yumi Takamura and his father Robert Voorhees. He was born and raised in Oceanside, California, and he went to school in Encinitas, California. One thing that I found particularly interesting was that my cousin is a Hapa. He is half Japanese, and when asked about that, he still explained that he gets and had received in school a little bit of uh, racial comments or profiling or jokes at his expense because he was Asian. One thing that I particularly found interesting was whether or not him being mixed race had anything to do with it, because I was curious as to perhaps whether people made these jokes due to the fact that they knew he was Asian, or they made these jokes about being Asian because he is half and he doesn't look full Asian to some people. Some people think he doesn't look Asian at all. So I wasn't sure if some people uh, just weren't thinking and were comfortable saying those jokes. After speaking with him, he did kind of say that any of the racial comments that he's endured, nothing has been extreme, and he believed that most situations happen because his friends were comfortable, or the people that were making these comments were comfortable and knew already on hand that he was half Japanese. Um, Another thing that I found particularly interesting interviewing my cousin was his career choices. So he right now is doing medical sales. He's a medical sales representative, and he is actually on his way to becoming a firefighter, as he is currently in EMT school. Um, One thing that I was clear with Brandon is that both careers actually have very low percentages in the Asian American population. Um, I used Zippia.com to pull up some statistics about the demographics uh, of medical sales representatives in America and firemen as well. With medical sales representatives, it looked as if only 4.7, that small amount, were Asian Americans, and that number was even smaller when it came to firefighters, as that number turned to 1.8%. Um, One thing that Brandon did find that surprising was he thought maybe the fireman number might be just a tad bit higher, kind of towards the 4%. And even for myself, as I learned that, I thought 1% of Asian American firefighters was a very, very low number. Um, Also, I think that Brandon overall he doesn't encompass the typical Asian American with his jobs, his upbringing. His friends were not Asian Americans; they were typically Caucasian. But I felt as if being in this hot mixed pot of generations, this mixed pot of ethnicities that we are, Southern California, that it was important to ask someone a little different and non-traditional. He still has some Japanese traditions in him. He loves the food. Um, he knows a couple Japanese words, but he mainly will take his shoes off when he enters a home. Some very basic Japanese traditions, and he did say that he planned on passing those down to his children. So, being that he is a Hapa, he does seem to want to carry on that tradition when he does have kids. And Brandon is fully aware that he has uh, many people in generations ahead of his time to thank for where we are as a people, where he is as a person of mixed ethnicities. Being a Japanese American, times were not always as easy as they are now, and I thought that getting a little bit of a view from a younger generation of person, the younger generation was important, especially because of the current movements that we have going on. So everyone knows about the BLM, Black Lives Matter, as well as the hashtag for Stop Asian Hate, for the acts of violence and hate that was going around in the last 2 years. So, with that being said, I really enjoyed doing this final project. I enjoyed getting to know my own cousin a little bit better. I think, once again, his career choices and his upbringing make him a very unique candidate for this project. And I believe that he gives an insightful experience as to what it's like being a modernized Hapa um, nowadays. He has Captain Furuya. He has the Hapa issue forums. He has just many people in front of him to thank for where we are, where he is as a person. So I just wanted to say thank you very much.